Good evening again, everyone. I trust that you are doing well this evening. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday Live. We are off for a great start, and I hope you are doing well. Today, we have a wonderful lady with us again. She was here with us last week, and she is here to empower us again. She is Terryann Scott. She's a speaker, content creator, and book publisher, just to name a few. She is the author of several books, and she is passionate about equipping people to lead quality enriched lives through acquiring inner healing, personal development, and spiritual transformation. She's inspired to inspire. She's all about empowerment, and she stands by her tagline, empowering the total you. Welcome, Terryann. Happy to have you with us this evening.
Thank,
Again, we are just open and ready to be empowered. And if you realize I started with my Wisdom Wednesday audio just to open our minds some more so that we are ready to be fed this evening. So it's all over to you.
all right. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again, Samantha. Good night, everyone that's watching. Thank you all for tuning in, just the same. And as we're getting ready to go into tonight's presentation, what I'd love to do for the purpose of those who may be on this broadcast, who was not on the previous broadcast, I'd just like to give a brief summary of what we spoke of. And the theme was becoming a better me. I won't be going in depth, but however, if you are interested in watching the replay, you can check Samantha's page out for it, or you can go to my page just the same, or you can visit YouTube channel where I uploaded it, and you can also visit Samantha's YouTube channel for last week's replay. And so last week we spoke about 5 areas that we can focus on to become the best version of ourselves that we can be. And the first thing we spoke of was to get inner healing from the soul level, because we discussed the fact that life is filled with challenges, and sometimes more likely the things that we go through in life, it can cause us to become or feel stifled, and we can experience fear. A lot of things can happen along our journey, and for that matter, we also spoke about our subconscious mind, the way in which it stores the memories or experiences from what we endure, and how our past can affect or interfere with our future if we do not learn how to control that. And in doing so, we do so by connecting with God, our true source, and discovering our true identity. The second thing we spoke of was everybody's hearing me, correct? Everybody's hearing me?
Yes.
All right,
Yes, I'm
wonderful.
hearing you.
The second, right, was discovering our purpose, and not just discovering our purpose through the exploration of our gifts and our talents, but how to find our passion and turn that into a paycheck. And so I brought you through an activity where persons learned how they could explore the purpose, or the passion rather, and turn their purpose into their passion into a business, so to speak. And for those of you who are watching that was here last week, I certainly hope that you fine tuned that activity after the broadcast. And please do remember that an idea without a plan is useless, just as a plan without an action is useless. So for those of you who participated, I certainly hope that it was in your intention to improve upon your ideas by turning it into a plan, and also to execute that plan with action. The third thing we spoke of was building confidence. And we explored this by building confidence through 3 ways. And one was by developing our skills. Another one was by gaining knowledge in our industry. And the final was to seek or by gaining experience. That's one way, or those are ways in which we develop our confidence. The fourth thing we spoke of was our mindset, and we looked at the fact that mindset is everything. I also shared the testimony of how I had a toxic mind and that interfered with my life to the point where I almost died literally just by having toxic thoughts. But God intervened and healed me. That testimony was shared also. And the last thing we spoke of, number 5, was the number 5, what we spoke of was being mindful of destiny killers, such as fear, anger, bitterness, frustration, stuff like that. We also did an activity that heightened or that could heighten our self-awareness as to the reason why we act or respond to people or things the way we do. And it was pointed out that in order for us to become the best version of ourselves, one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to become aware of who we really are and how we respond to things. For this week's broadcast, I want to do 2 things before I leave some tips with you. And what I want to do, I just want to revisit fear as we linked that with building confidence. I just want to revisit that. And then we're going to talk some more where the mind is concerned. Then I'll leave you with a strategy and a few tips before the forum will be opened. And as it relates to fear, I do not want for anyone to leave this forum and believe for 1 second that in life you can come to a point where you never experience fear. That has happened to me before, and that can stunt our journey or our progress. So I need for you to understand that fear, it's a natural instinct, is a part of us. And fear, a little bit of fear is somewhat healthy. Fear that is not controlled becomes unhealthy. And we have to remember that the Bible says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and of a sound mind. But however, I need you to recognize or to understand that fear is a part of our biological or physiological processing. It's natural. So a little bit of it is healthy. So it will never be or it will never come to a point where we never experience fear, so to speak. But the idea is to be in control or in charge of the fear, not allowing it to get the best of us, so to speak, right? And so let me give you an example. For the dog lovers out there, if you see a pit bull, nobody would walk up to a pit bull and say, nice doggy, what a nice dog. No. Why? That's fear in action. Fear is doing its job where it serves to protect you, because fear gives you the knowledge, or rather, knowledge that you have gained causes you to understand that, hey, if I get too close to this animal, it can hurt me, right? So fear is there in a sense to help us or to protect us. And it's the same thing. Nobody would walk in front of a speeding car or a truck or even drive across the road into another lane while a speeding vehicle is coming, because what? They understand the dangers associated with it. And that is what fear does. Or that is why, rather, the Bible says that fear is the beginning of knowledge, and it also says that fear is the beginning of wisdom. You understand? So fear, to a degree, with healthy portions, it is there to protect us and to serve us, right? And one thing I've learned or discovered where fear is concerned, the difference between those who have succeeded and those who have not, it is not that the ones who are succeeding and accomplishing, they don't have fear. That's not the case. But the difference is that those who are accomplishing and succeeding, they experience fear, yes, but they do it anyway. And that's the takeaway point that I want to leave with you, that if you're fearful of trying, starting out, doing something new, exploring your gifts and your talents, taking risk, stuff like that, it's not a case where you will never experience fear, but feel the fear and do it anyway. So what sets us apart? What sets set of people who can accomplish stuff and a set of people who are not accomplishing anything? What sets them apart? It's really courage, not the absence of fear, but the presence of courage. So I hope for you to get that, because I do not want for anybody to be working on fear, trying to, get rid of fear, and they're discouraged because they're still experiencing fear. But the idea is never to give in to your fears, because your fear can rob you. It will sabotage your future. And the thing is, we will never know who we can become until we begin to try. So we have to put ourselves at that place where we are willing to step out. So you experience fear, you might feel the fear, but do it anyway. And I want to move on now to our mind. We're going to talk some more about the mind because what I want for us to understand is that we are actually a product of our mind. We all have been through things. Some of us, we have experienced trauma, we have experienced so much hurt, so much pain. And again, our subconscious mind, right, if we allow it, it can rob us and sabotage us of our future. So, one thing I want for us to learn is to work on our perception, how we actually perceive things. And I want to encourage everybody on this broadcast to never see problem as problem, but view problems as opportunities. Because the fact is, if sometimes if we don't go through certain things, if we don't experience certain things, number one, we will never grow. And number two, we will never develop and become into the person who we are today. Sometimes it is problems and pressure that actually forces us in a particular position that brings out the best in us. Sometimes we never know what we can do ourselves. Sometimes we amaze ourselves because of what we have discovered that we can do, because of what pressure has done to us, so to speak. And so let me give an example. There's a particular woman, and it's a true story. She was in a very good job. She was earning income, all of that, and she lost her job. And now she was forced in a position where she had to try and figure out ways in which she can earn to offset her expenses. And so she turned to her gifts and her talents that was inside her, and she did baking because that was her talent, to bake. And long story short, the recipe that she came up with at first, it spoiled, but she still went ahead and baked it. And guess what? It sell off. She became a multi-million dollar. She got rather a multi-million dollar business from that mistake. Now I want for you to look at the contradictions of this, so to speak, right? Had she not lost her job, she would have not graduated from being an employee to owning her own business to becoming a multi-millionaire. What we would have viewed as problem was actually a blessing in disguise for her. Her deliverance and her breakthrough was wrapped up in that very problem. And so what I want to say to each person listening is never view problem as problem, but view it as opportunities, because sometimes we may feel as if the whole world is against us or things are working against us, but all we have to do is to be positive and to look for the good in every situation, because believe it or not, there is good or something positive that can be taken from a negative situation. So we have to work on our mindset, how we perceive things. Now, where the mind is concerned, I want to highlight or to point out that, do you know that it is scientifically proven that 80% of sicknesses that we experience is psychologically related? This means that it's stress induced. It's caused by stress. And why is this? Because doctors have proven that the way in which we were wired, how we were built, our bodies, it was meant to handle or deal with healthy emotions such as joy, love, happiness, peace. When we experience all of these emotions, then there's a chemical in our bodies or in our brains that can match it. But whenever we experience negative feelings that can be very destructive, or negative thoughts such as anger, bitterness, hatred, jealousy, stuff like that, there is no chemical inside of our brains that can match that. And so our body begin to go haywire. And this is one reason why we experience so much aches and so much pains in our body as well, because of the trapped emotions that's inside of us that's unhealthy. And believe me, I've already spoken last week. I shared already what negative thinking can do. You understand? Our thoughts can affect our future. It can affect our life, believe you me, and that's what toxic mind, toxic thinking does, right? So sometimes these aches and these pains that we're feeling, it is not natural, but it is because our bodies was not meant or built to function in those environments. We begin to experience these aches and these pains. So one of the things that we need to do in order to have a healthy mindset, to work on ourselves and to become better, is to ensure that we are nurturing our emotions and we're taking full control to the best of our ability of the emotions that we experience, right? And now, what I want to do, I want to share one technique or one strategy that we can use where to entertain or harness a healthy mindset. One technique or one strategy, because the thing is, we have to be real. As I said before, go through a lot, and sometimes life can hit us or take us by surprise. And what I realize is that not many persons are equipped to handle stress. Not many persons are equipped to deal with unhealthy situations or conflicts or stuff that can actually destroy us, so to speak, our mind or thinking. And the reason why I love events such as these is because our mindset is very important. And just as how we take care of our bodies, we wake up, we bathe, we brush our teeth, we comb our hair and all of that. So too, we have our spiritual practices where we pray, we meditate, we think about God and His Word. The mind is often ignored, and yet still it is such a vital part of our functioning. To have a healthy mindset is necessary. It's like foundation to everything. It's necessary for spiritual growth. It's necessary for physical growth. It's necessary for health. When you drill it down and look at it really, our mind is where everything is. Like I said before, we are the product of our minds, right? So we have to really work on harnessing a healthy mindset and learn how to deal with issues as life delivers them to us. Let me put it that way. So before I leave you with some tips, rather, I'm going to share one strategy or one technique that we can use to harness that healthy mindset. And so let me give you an example. Have you ever woken up before where you're stressed out or you're tired and you have responsibilities? Maybe you have errands to run on the town, but because of how you're feeling, you're so weak, you're so tired, you're so exhausted, and you put those things off because in your mind you can't do it. But then maybe something that you needed for a long time, or maybe you're in need of some money. You might receive a phone call, and when you get that phone call, before you know it is when you reach out on the town, you start to wonder, wait, how did I reach here? Huh? What's responsible for all of that? Hmm? Well, I'm going to share with you one strategy. And the strategy I'm talking about now is simply to change your focus, change what you're thinking on. And it sounds simple, but it's very powerful and effective because the reality is, chances are, if you're feeling sad, you're thinking about stuff that make you feel sad. Remember, we discussed in the last broadcast that our thoughts precede our feelings. It interrelates with each other. Please forgive my stuttering. I'm tired. It interrelates with each other, so to speak. And so if you're feeling sad, like I said before, chances are then you're thinking about something that makes you feel sad. And so I love to use examples just so I can ensure that you understand what I'm saying. So let me use another example. If you lost your only source of income, so to speak, right? And you don't know where you're going to get money from to pay your bills, you have children to take care of, you don't know how you're going to survive. That alone in itself, it can make you feel real stressed out, right? And stress has an impact on us where sometimes when we're stressed, we don't have the energy or the strength to do certain things, right? It causes us to feel weak. And listen, stress, like I said before, is one of the underlying factors for many different illnesses. And so if you trace your thoughts, I'm certain you'll find that you're thinking about how the bills are going to be paid, how you're going to buy food to eat, how the kids are going to be taken care of to go to school and all of that. You're thinking about something negative, right? which the situation is there, is at stake. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being insensitive to what's at hand, but I'm just trying to give you some empowerment tools that we can use to actually better ourselves. Now, let me show you how changing your thoughts can actually work. If you receive the following day in that same state a phone call that says, hey, listen, I have a job offer for you tomorrow. I know a place, the boss, they need some help and support, and you're an ideal candidate. That thought alone can cause it to feel better, where instantly you were feeling weak or down or depressed, but you feel more hopeful, more alive, because what? The possibility of your needs or the very things that you're worried about, the possibility is there that they will be taken care of, right? And so that's what it does. What actually happened was a shift in focus, right? A transition took place in your mind where those thoughts are concerned. And the reality is the situation is still there. You're still without a job. You still haven't had the job as yet. But just the idea of you getting that job cause you to become hopeful. So it shifts your mindset or your focus where you're not thinking about your needs now, but you're now in a hopeful position where you believe that things can sustain. So I hope you're understanding, but that is one powerful strategy that you can use to combat what you're going through. And in life, there is so much things. Listen, don't feel as if you're the only one that may be going through stuff where you're the only one experiencing disappointments, heartaches, pains. That's a part of life. That comes with the package of life. We all experience disappointments. We all experience setbacks. We all experience heartaches and pains. But while we do not have control over the things that happen to us, we do get to choose how we respond to things. And that's why we have to practice to have a healthy mindset and to be hopeful in things. Just like the woman I shared with you earlier on, she lost her job and she could have been stressed out by it. But in that very same situation, something positive was there waiting for her. And had she not become, what should I say, daring enough to get up off of that couch and to look within herself and try to do something to remedy the situation, she would have not or never become a multi-millionaire in that case scenario, right? So we have to work on trying to see positive stuff in every situation because there is good in every bad. And that's what the scripture tells us to. The Bible says that God will work all things together for good to them who love him. You understand? So sometimes it may seem as if everything is working against us, but things are actually working for us in our favor. So I want to encourage you never to take the victim mentality, but to have the victor mentality. Because if you practice to have the victim mentality, then your situation, your circumstance, it will never change. You have to practice to have the victor mentality where no matter what happens, no matter the obstacles that come before you, you're always willing to go forward and to try because you're always seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. All right. And so what we're going to talk about now, basically, before I move on to the 16, I'm going to share a few tips. I think I'm going to share 16 tips with you as to what we can do to have a better or a healthy mindset. Yeah, I think I'll go there now. All right. So to have that healthy mindset, one of the things, and I'm not going to expound on all of them, I'm just going to mention them. And one of the things we need to do, let me just look on my notes here for that, is to, I'll repeat the first one, change the way you think and be aware of what you focus on, right? Remember, everything, it begins with a thought and or thoughts precedes our feelings. So change what you focus on. That's a very powerful strategy. And also try not to see problem as problem, but view problems as an opportunity. Number two, do not compare yourself or your journey with others, right? Everybody's journey is different. We spoke last week, likewise, also of persons who are now successful. Before they reached to where they were, they had to be sleeping in the cars. They had to do 3 jobs. Some of them, they were cleaning bathrooms. They were doing all sorts of stuff. Never compare yourself with another person's journey because you don't know what somebody had to do to get to where they are now or how long it took them. And sometimes when we do that, when we watch ourselves and measure ourselves with people, We don't have any idea of the story behind what they had to do to get to where they are. And so maybe some of them, many of them, it wasn't until they're in their prime age that they began to become successful or to achieve what they endeavored to achieve from before. So for some persons, it took them 20, 30 years. And we can just be starting on our journey and watching them, trying to measure ourselves with them, not understanding when we are going through our challenging process that, hey, just as how you are going through your challenges now, they too, they had to go through their challenges. It just come to a point where they have already paid their price, and it's left up to us now to pay our price just the same before we can achieve. Right? So do not compare yourself or your journey with others. That's very dangerous. Number three, stop thinking about what people are thinking about you or how they see you. That's a big one for many. Stop thinking about what people are thinking about you or how they see you. Number four, do not try to please everyone. Focus on pleasing God, and that will take care of the rest. We have some persons where they will die trying to please everybody, and at the end of the day, they're unhappy. But in order for us to have a healthy foundation, we have to draw balances. We have to weigh the balance, so to speak, right? And while the Bible says, if it's possible, live at peace with all men, yes, that's very much necessary. We have to know and understand that in life, we'll never come to a point where we're able to please everybody. That's just a fact. Remember some of the things we spoke of last week as well, such as the subconscious memory and how it can affect us. Sometimes persons who have unhealed wounds and they have issues that they're dealing with, these people, they're very hard to please. And you can spend your whole day or your entire life trying to please some of these people. It will never happen. So these things work as a distraction for us. So don't try to please everybody, right? Focus on pleasing God, and then that will take care of the rest. Number five, do not overthink or overprocess information. And this too is dangerous because I'm a thinker, right? I don't know who else on here can attest or agree. But sometimes when we think too much, things can become over complicated. Simple things I'm talking about. And oftentimes what I find too, if you think about one thing, you have an idea what to do. If you keep thinking about it, keep thinking about it, keep thinking about it, what you find happening is that you may begin to procrastinate and certain things will never get done, right? So don't overprocess anything. From you have a clear-cut understanding or idea of what you're to do, just get going with it and the rest will happen. Number six, remove the obvious stressors from out of your life. And we spoke a little bit about this, not in so much of that context last week, but what I'm talking about here, likewise, some of the obvious stresses, unfortunately, is our environment. We just have to change our environment. If you want to become healthy, if you want to become better, if you want a healthy mind, the fact is, once we remain in certain environments, it's going to affect us. So a change of environment and sometimes a change of our circle is necessary. Those who we have around us, those we have close to us. So it's a harsh reality, but sometimes that is something that we do have to consider. Number seven, pace yourself. Beware of getting mentally burnt out. And some persons, they do not like to say no. Some persons, they hate to disappoint. And sometimes we can bite off more than what we can chew. But then at the end of the day, we find that things begin to affect us negatively. And we will never be able to be of use to anyone if we're not of use to ourselves. We need to be able to be functioning at our optimal state, right, mentally, in order to work on ourselves and grow, and in order to help persons to become better as well. So that's something that you have to look out for. And number eight, let go of the past. This is a big one. Back to what I was saying about earlier about the chemical processing, matching, or trying to match our emotions and the way we feel. True stories. I have known persons who have struggled with unforgiveness, and as a result of that, they develop heart conditions such as an enlarged heart, all of that, and they live to testify that the moment they forgive whoever they have held up in their heart, they receive the healing. That's true story. Now, that's something I want for you to think about. We have to be so careful about the thoughts that we're harnessing because, as I said, our thoughts will affect us. And believe it or not, our thoughts is having an impact on us more than we know. Let me give you one activity. Everybody knows what a lime tastes like, right? I want for you in your mind right now just to close your eyes and to envision you cutting a slice of lime and you're using the tip of your tongue to taste that lime. What begins to happen? Anybody's doing it? If you have done that correctly, just taste that lime. What would begin to happen is that you find your mouth start to produce saliva. You begin to salivate. Now, the truth is, or the reality is, you're not tasting a lime in real time. It's just your mind. You're just using your thoughts. But still, your body is able to respond to those thoughts. And that's something we have to be mindful of, that our thoughts, it has energy. And even though we are not seeing it physically, our body is responding to it. There's a relationship taking place, and that's what happened with me. Again, I'll draw reference to that with the testimony that I shared last week of me becoming sick. It was my thoughts. And so when we hold people in our hearts, we refuse to let them go and we refuse to forgive them for what they have done to us, we're hurting nobody but ourselves. And when I say that, that's not a cliche. We're literally hurting ourselves. Persons have testified, listen, the moment I've let go of people or I've given up certain things, sometimes these things eat us out. And when we let go of it, we can literally feel a release in our hearts. You understand? We are doing nobody nothing but ourselves. We're hurting ourselves with these things. So let go of the past. All right. Number 9, take your eyes from off of yourself. Stop thinking about yourself so much, because things are not always about us. And especially for persons who struggle or deal with social anxiety, this can be one of the biggest challenge they go through. So you walk in a room and you're so self-conscious, wonder how I look, who's looking at me, am I walking funny? And if persons are staring, oh my God, is this dress funny? Does it not look good? We feel so awkward. We can't even hold a conversation naturally because of all these things. The attention and the focus is on us. And that brings us back to the same strategy I was talking about. Just shift your thought, shift your attention, shift what you're focusing on. Take the focus off of you, put it on something else, and you realize that you loosen up much more easily. All right. Number 10, do something good for somebody every day. This is one thing that you can practice. It makes you feel good when you do something for somebody every day. All right. Number 11, of course, practice spirituality daily. We need to continue to develop our relationship with God. That was my number 1 hit last week, having a relationship with God, spending time reading the word, meditating. That's number 1. That's something that we need to do. And number 12, pay attention to your surrounding. We discussed that earlier on a little bit. Watch what you watch what you hear, the music you listen, who you listen to, who you allow to speak into your life. Because believe it or not, chances are, if you're sad, don't put on a sad movie. It's only going to make you feel more sad. You understand? We have to learn to counteract things. So we have to be careful of what we're listening and what we're giving our attention to, because whatever we allow to enter into our ear gates or our minds, it will have an effect or a lasting impact on us. Number 13, do the things you enjoy. Nothing is wrong with taking some valuable, precious time for yourself. Do stuff that you enjoy every day. Number 14, discover your purpose and strive to fulfill it. And that's another biggie for me. That was the second point of last week we spoke about. Discover your purpose, strive to fulfill it. Nothing makes you feel happy and alive like connecting with your purpose. Nothing, right? So that's something you need to do. And number 15, music. Music is something that can change our mood. It can set the tone. It can set the pace for stuff. Dance, sing aloud sometimes. It's guaranteed to change your mood. And I want you to try. It may seem funny, but sometimes if you get bad news, instead of feeling down or anything, put some music on, sing. It will take your mind off of stuff and it's guaranteed to change your mood. In fact, what some persons do, persons who are well known before they speak, I'm talking about popular speakers, some of the things that they practice to do is to listen good music, try to get themselves excited before a presentation so that when they stand before the audience, they can sound and feel the excitement, because what? That's what music does. It has an energy, you understand? So that changes their mood. And as a result, it causes them to reflect the same. And last but not least, trust God in the process and seek peace and pursue it. Sometimes some things that happen to us, it's very difficult to trust God. It's very easy for us to trust God when things are going right. But the question is, can we trust Him in the dark times? Can we trust Him when things are not going right? And nothing beats peace of mind. And we're living in a world right now where this world is going chaotic. People are worried, they're concerned about many stuff. They're losing their job, their source of income, they're losing persons who are close to them. There's so many things that are happening, but nothing beats peace of mind. And the Bible tells us that God will keep us in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on Him. So we have to practice to keep our mind on God at all times, in spite of what we're going through. And one thing that we can do, one activity, because somebody may be saying, listen, you don't know what I'm going through. How can I not think about this? This is my reality. How can I ignore it? The idea is not to ignore, but it's just to change or to shift your attention by choosing what you focus on. In a sense, yes, it's there, but it's just trying to learn to deal with it in a healthy way. And one thing we can do is to practice gratitude, where instead of focusing every day on what you don't have or what you need, just simply practice to focus on what you do have. What are you grateful for? Practicing gratitude, it can change our life because it gives us or it sets us up to have the correct position. Our attitudes become right, so to speak, and that is when we truly may begin to experience receiving stuff from God and even from others just the same. All right, so I'm going to open the floor at this time. If anybody have any questions, time really fly quickly. If anybody have any questions at this time, I'm going to leave the floor open. And just like last week, what I did, I presented from my book, Becoming a Better You, Heal Your Soul, Heal Your Life. So you can watch the replay. And you can also get a copy of this. And for those who went out and purchased, I could not let this broadcast end without thanking you for purchasing. I truly hope that you'll be blessed, and it can really change your life. So the information that's shared, once you have an understanding and have set the time out to write it in a way in which you can understand and relate to it, your life is guaranteed to change. All right. So as I'm going to take questions now, I'm getting ready to turn back over to Samantha. Just remember that a healthy mind equals a healthy life, but a toxic mind equals a toxic life. And if we really truly want our lives to be healed, then we have to get healed from the soul level. You can visit Amazon, or for the paperback, Amazon, and for the digital copy, you can visit any other digital retailer for Becoming a Better You, Heal Your Soul, Heal Your Life, written by me, yours truly, Terryann Scott. Samantha, over to you, and the floor is open. If anybody has any question, then I'll take it at this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Terryann. There's
Sure.
one question one person is asking: to be afraid and to be fearful, how different are they?
All right. Well, like I said earlier, it's natural for everybody to experience fear. There is nobody on the face of this earth. I've never met somebody who doesn't experience fear. The idea, however, is to control your fears. And we know that too much of nothing is good, so to speak. So when I say it's normal to have fear, I'm talking about how we were made. Like I said, I don't know if you missed the first part of the broadcast. Everybody has it's a part of our physiological process, and I was using the example. Fear is there to protect us in a sense where you wouldn't see fire and put your hand in it because you know you're going to get burned. So it's that fear there is serving to protect you in a sense. But fear that persons know in a different light, based on our experiences, based on some of the stuff that we go through, then more than we would like, we become more troubled with fear where that can affect us more than we would like, right? I give you an example. When I got married, my first child, unfortunately, healthy, normal pregnancy. I had her on the exact due date and went to a private hospital just to ensure the health of her life. And long story short, the nurse didn't deal with me well. And she passed her stools before I actually gave birth to her. And the nurse that came in on the other shift didn't suction her properly, and she died 16 hours after birth, my first child. Now, what did that do for me? That opened the door for fear. When I got pregnant with my second child, I was so fearful. Now, fear to that degree where I wasn't able to control it, that was abnormal, but that doesn't make me abnormal. You understand? So there are times, as I said, based on our backgrounds or experiences, things can get out of control. It doesn't make us abnormal. Other persons are experiencing that just the same. But the idea is to gain control or get a grasp of how we can handle that situation. Never, never, please try and never allow fear to take control of you, because fear will sabotage and rob you of your destiny. Did that answer your question? You're not abnormal.
All right. I hope that answered the person's question. Another person is saying that I tend to make some bad decisions when I'm stressed and upset. What can you say to a person like that? They say they tend to make bad decisions when they are stressed and they're upset.
All right. Simple. Number one, you're not alone again. Sometimes we mess up at times. Sometimes when we get upset, we can be very irrational. But the simple remedy for that, what I've proven, is never to make a decision when you're upset. Just take some time for yourself, cool down, and once you're calm and you can able to rationalize things from a more controlled vantage point, then you can go ahead and make a decision from there. Because we have to understand that these things, when we become angry, we're bitter, we're upset, we experience fear and all of that, those things, it clouds our judgment. So the decision that we would have made if we were in our sane mind when we were sober, that's something that you will not find that's easy for you to do while you're upset. So the simple remedy is not to make a decision when you're upset. Take some time necessary, calm down. Once you have a some form of control over the situation, and you go ahead and you make the decision. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other question. Any person in here in Zoom want to ask a question? If you're on Facebook and you want to ask your question, go ahead and type it in the chat so that I can ask the presenter. Any question? Going once, going twice. All right. How does one deal with a pervasive negative thought? Negative thoughts that are reoccurrent.
All right. There's several ways, and I walked you through an exercise last week that would be very ideal. I read from, I think it was chapter 3 of the book, What You Can Do. One thing, and creating awareness, like I said before, that puts you in a powerful position where you have more control of changing your life. Once you have an idea as to what is affecting you and why it's affecting you. So the idea would be to try to trace back to find out why you're having those negative thoughts, right? Try to find the root, because we don't want to just treat the symptom, which is the negative thought itself, but something is causing that negative thought. So we'd have to trace back to find out what's causing those negative thoughts and try to deal with it. And one way in which you trace back is simply by asking yourself, why am I thinking this? And you try and come up with an answer. And then you're going to have to ask yourself more questions like why, and try to drill down to the bottom line. But off the charts, one way, or a different way rather, is simply by combating those negative thoughts with positive thoughts. And so let me give you another example. I said last week that public speaking, it is said that the fear of public speaking, that's one of the biggest fears here, public speaking. So let me give you another example, combating negative thoughts. You may fear public speaking, right? You don't want to speak, you just have a negative feeling, and ask yourself why. Maybe you find out that, hey, people may laugh at me, they may not like me, they may not like the presentation, whatever. Ask yourself again why. You do certain drilling like that. But in short, what you have to do Instead of allowing your mind to say to you, what if they don't like you? What if you mess up? What if you don't do well? Combat it by saying, what if I do well? What if I don't mess up? What if people like me? You understand? What if I actually become, popular or good at this, right? So that's what we have to do. Just combat it with the opposite. And the thing is, whenever we begin to expose our minds to the idea of these new concepts, so to speak, you'll find that it begins to build our confidence. And over time, it takes time. So over time, something that you may be fearful of doing, you may find that you are actually enthused or you want to do it, even though you might experience a slight fear. The desire now will still be there to want to do it, even though you have the fear, right? So combat your negative thinking with your positive thinking. And when you have time, do some reflection and try to drill down to find the root by asking why questions. Why are you feeling like this? Anybody else?
Okay, anyone else want to ask a question? Go ahead and ask your questions.
Good evening. My hand was raised and the teacher did not see me.
Oh my, I did. I'm so sorry, I didn't see it. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, good evening, everyone that is on the panel. Miss, I'd like to ask you a question. I was listening to you. I never listened to you last week. Sorry. However, I know sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone to do things, but the fear of starting something and not able to execute it the way you really want to. What are some of the steps you would say you could use to overcome that hurdle?
So, in other words, you're asking, or maybe you're dealing with a fear of failure. You want to do something, but you're afraid that you may not do it well, or you may fail at it, and you want to find out how to overcome that.
Yes, Miss. Basically, yes.
Okay. Again, I'm going to refer back to last week's broadcast because I spoke a little bit about that, right? So you can visit my page or Samantha's page. You can also visit my YouTube channel or Samantha's YouTube channel if she uploaded it. I'm not sure if she uploaded it on her YouTube, but it's there for a more compact explanation. But like I said, one thing I said last week was whenever we are starting anything, it's always good for us to take a humble mindset where we don't start thinking that we're going to start with a bang or I have to get everything right. We have to understand that mistakes is a part of success. Sometimes some of us we have a perfect mindset, we're perfectionists, we want to do things well and we want to do it excellent, but we have to respect humble beginnings in the sense where know that there is nobody who just get up and start to do anything and do it well overnight. It takes time and it takes practice, and the more you practice your craft, then the better you become at it. So to combat that, I gave two tips last week that I'll just repeat. One, I was saying start humble. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Know that mistakes are building blocks that we can build on. So have the attitude where I'm going to do this, and if it doesn't work, I'll learn from it and do better next time. It's a work in progress, and so we have to look at it like that. And the second thing I spoke of was many times we're fearful of doing something because we just don't know how to do it. And so I gave three tips to build our confidence, which is one, if you work in a skill or a talent or what have you, study, find out how to use it and how to become excellent at what you do, right? Study and practice. And number two, not just the skill we are to study, but we're to find time or make time to study our area of industry, right? So we can broaden our knowledge. Because if you really look at it, sometimes when we're fearful and we don't want to do stuff, it's really because we don't know what to do. And then there's another element where sometimes we do know what to do, but we just think we don't know what to do. Until we begin to study, though, we may realize, hey, but I already knew this. I'm on the same path. That's what everybody who's successful is already doing, right? So number three for building confidence is seek experience, because like I was saying on the broadcast, I was explaining our brain and our subconscious mind, right? It was wired to fill in, so to speak, the blanks, right? So whenever we are coming into a situation for the first, and there is no conscious memory of what to expect. We don't know how something is going to turn out. Then what our brain try to do for us, it tries to fill it in with anything. And so if we're a negative person, it may fill it in with something negative. Don't do it, you might fail. Or why that? Look on the person, or look at your mother. Your mother didn't do well in this area. Why you think you're going to do well? Or your father. You understand? Your brain will constantly try to fill in those areas for you. But what I've discovered, and I'm speaking from experience as well, the more you begin to do something, the more you begin to get comfortable at doing it. So you're no longer that fearful. You may experience nerves, but you're no longer that fearful because you know what to expect. And so experience is very key in the very area of the thing that you fear. All right. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Sometimes it's mistakes that cause some of these inventions to be invented. You understand me? It's a part of our building block or journey to success. Don't be afraid of mistakes. I hope that added some understanding to your question.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, someone is asking you, can you speak to use of affirmations to improve our mindset?
Yes, affirmations can be helpful, but the thing with affirmation is this: if you're saying it and you don't believe it, then it's not going to work. You have to believe what you're saying. And yeah, sometimes even when you start out and you don't believe what you're saying, like I'm good, I'm worthy enough, or I'm valuable. Sometimes we say things and we really don't believe it. And we try to deceive ourselves to think that we do. But while it will not have an effect on us until we start to believe those things, sometimes after a while, even if you don't believe it, you may find yourself then starting to believe it, right? So I won't discourage anyone from practicing or doing that. But the key for that to work is you'd have to come to a point where you truly begin to believe what you're affirming. Any more questions?
So true. Any more questions? And as we have mentioned before, that it's a decision that you have to make when you want
Mm-hmm.
to become a better version of yourself. You first have to be honest. You have to see
Yes.
yourself and say, okay, assessing my life, and I realize that things haven't been going, or I haven't been feeling how I want to feel. So
Mm-hmm.
consciously, what am I going to do? When you look at
Mm-hmm.
it, all the feelings and all the thoughts, how are they affecting me? How am I feeling? Is it this is the way I want to feel for the rest of my life?
Yes.
Because peace of mind is everything, and peace of mind is
Yes.
not a beautiful thing, and no money in this world can buy it. As an individual, you have to be the one who decide and say, hey, girl, boy, mm-mm, I cannot continue to live like this. I cannot continue to feel like this.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you are not the only person in this whole wide world who have dealt with these things. So there's nothing to feel afraid about. There's nothing to have pride about. There's nothing to feel bad about. There's nothing to be sad about. But to reach at that place where you said, I don't want to live like this anymore. You have to reach
Mm-hmm.
a place where you say, how do I want to experience my life?
Yes.
How
Yes.
do I want to experience my life? I am 20, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50. Am I going to continue to live a miserable life? Am I going to
Mm-hmm.
continue to be a negative person? Am I going to continue to let negative thoughts just taking over my mind like this? No. Grab a hold of yourself, and as Terryann said, you can't just, yes, it will work. There are things when you say it, even when it comes on to the prophetic. There are things when you say it weekly, and after a while it will grow. But you have to get to that place where you start listening to it, you start believing it. And you have to be hungry for it. You have to get to that place where you are hungry for it.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
desperate for it. Just as though you need the Lord. There's a little song that says, I am desperate for you, and I am hungry for it. You have to be hungry for it. You have to be thirsty for it. You have to say to yourself, no, man,
Have to. Mm-hmm.
no, man, I'm not continuing to live my life like this. So I am going to have to push myself out of this. And whenever the feelings are
Yes.
coming, whenever the thoughts are coming, what am I going to do about it? I am going to listen to some positive music. I'm going to find persons who are motivators, because words are powerful. It doesn't matter how you feel. If
Mm-hmm.
you change what you listen to and change your environment and play some music that are impactful and motivated, it will go. So it's a continuous thing over a period of
Yes.
time. The thoughts are gonna come. And once you know that you have that issue where the thoughts
Mm-hmm.
are bothering you, don't leave yourself in a place where you're always low. Surround yourself with people who are bubbly and excited, so you always feed that energy. If you know that you're sad, I think Terry had mentioned it already, you like to be sad, don't listen to what sad movie.
Yes. Yes.
Don't listen to sad music. I know it's spiritual and it will want to draw you there, because the plan of the enemy is to keep you down in that pit and that low feeling and all of these things. Depression and all of those feelings, they have their spiritual aspect to it, because the spirit of heaviness is the same thing that leads to depression. You start feeling so low and so sorry for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and so you just feel heavy and wonder, what do me, man? What me feel so? Why am I feeling like this? Just feel so heavy. But because it's a spirit, it is lingering everywhere you go. It follow you to work. You're there at work and
Mm-hmm.
you laugh and you do what you have to do. But when you get home, it's in your house. So you have to get mad and say hello.
Mm-hmm.
Instant notice. Instant notice. You're coming out here. I am not living any more sad life. So you're coming out here. You're going to put on some prayer. You're going to put on some music. And you're going to chase that spirit out. And whenever you don't allow your mind to just carry you away,
Mm-hmm.
always keep your mind filled with stuff. Don't go around people who are always crying and murmuring and telling you negative stuff, because it's going to work on your spirit. When you go back in your own space, you realize these are the things that are coming to you. But if you go in spaces or you listen to things that are positive, it doesn't matter how weak you feel, it doesn't matter how sad you feel, you remember that you hear Samantha Big Mouth tell us, say, snap out of it. Come on. Don't stay in it. Listen to some music.
Mm-hmm.
Dance your feet away. Feel some energy. Let your heart move. Let your blood get hot. All of those things, and don't stay in it. So it's a process, but it is possible. It is possible. You are not the first nor the last that have experienced it or will experience it. So nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to don't want anybody to know, but just to own it and say, what am I going to do with this? Also, as counselors, we tend to look back at where it starts from. Where it starts from, you have to be honest with yourself. Sit down and think about it. When did this start? When did I realize, at what age, at what stage in my life, I start feeling like this, like I don't have any control over my mind? What happened to me? What had happened? What is it that you're thinking? What's coming in your mind? Who spoke negatively over your life? All of those things. And we have looked at even breaking your barriers. These are some of the barriers that you need to break yourself out of. And Shadi Davis have been here before, and she tell us about breaking them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to break them off you. Okay, I think there's a comment. Having a healthy mind is key in order for us to be able to function at maximum and to become the best version of ourselves. Our minds have to be in tip-top shape. I can testify that a healthy mind will amper our progress. And so we have to do whatever it takes to keep a good mental status. It is with the mind that we serve the Lord, and that is the one reason we are attacked so much as it relates to our mind. Yes. And I've often said to people, it's one mind you have. So it doesn't matter. Most of the times when you see people lose their mind, they say it's a thin line between sanity and insanity. And the moment persons who step over that line, most of the times they don't come back. So it's a
That's true.
constant fight. You have to
Mm-hmm.
tell yourself, say, hey, No matter what I'm going through, I'm not gonna go over that line. I'm gonna get help. I'm gonna grab a hold of myself.
Mm.
You'll face things that
Yes,
are
yes.
that are sad. You'll face hurt. You'll get disappointed. But life, that's how life is. Life can be
Mm-hmm.
one thing, I tell you. Life can be can bring so many things. But it's what you do, is how you look at it. What am I going to do? Say to yourself
Yes,
that
yes.
no, it's one mind. And it doesn't matter how hard something look. You can look and say, but 5 months ago or 6 months ago, I felt like this. My God, I didn't know that this could go. I remember I experienced a very, what would you say, traumatic. One night I went to choir practice and left my neighbors home. And when I got home that night, and it was November 18, the other day, it was about 12 years, and I could not believe that November 18 could come, and I don't remember. When I got home, my entire neighbor, my 4 persons from my neighbor, from over my neighbors were shot and killed.
Oh.
And that was a traumatic experience. I remember there were times when when we went out and we were to come back home, we wish we could find somewhere else to go. You're happy when you're out, but when every time you think about going home and you're gonna pass the house, for weeks we didn't want to even come on our veranda to look over there. Even
Oh
the
my,
the
wow.
sun didn't shine. The place was so gloomy and dark and sad, and the yellow tape was around it, and all these things. And we said, "My God, when will we ever get over this? When can we ever think about this and not feel our hearts pounding and feel so terrified?" My mother can testify. We couldn't sleep.
Mm.
My mother, we have to wait. You're going to the bathroom so many times, not just to defecate, but to urinate a lot because of how traumatizing it was. And last week or the other day was November
Wow.
18, and I was saying to myself, my God, wow, yesterday was November 18. I couldn't believe that that date could come and I don't remember it. So it doesn't matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter what you have faced. There will with time, it's a time heal all wound. With time, it might not go away totally, but you'll be able to look back at it and say, look at what I was killing myself over. Look
Oh
at what
yeah.
I was stressing myself over. Look at what
Yeah.
me nearly mad myself over. Look at the relationship where me feel like my world done. But
Mm-hmm.
then years pass by, I say, my God, girl, you did want somebody to slap you. Because look at what you, but yes, you'll never know what you know now, no, then. Because as Terryann
Right.
mentioned, our experience, some of the times the things that we go through, it is what shape our lives. But
Yes.
we have to grab a hold of ourselves. We have to tell ourselves every single day that is why the Bible says that we have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Every day is not just one day, but every day that you wake up, you want to have your mind feasting on the things of God and renewing your mind and your spirit. One thing that I learned too is that, you see, one of the things that causes us to be so burdened, the word of the Lord says, take no thought for tomorrow. But you see, as human beings, we take up tomorrow, next week, all next 5 years we are worried over.
True. Yes.
And when I
True.
read the thing in the Terryann and I said, my God, it says, you see, like the birds in the sky, they just fly. Because they just know that they are
Mm-hmm.
gonna find something to eat.
Oh
The
yes. Not
lilies
to
in the
worry
field,
about.
they're just there. Breeze blow them and
Yeah.
them blow. Rain fall and them open, the flowers open out.
Yes. Yes.
Sun shining and then just curve and hide. And when the rain fall, they just,
Mm-hmm.
and that is how the Lord wants us to be. A
Yes.
lot of
Amen.
times why we're so stressed, and a lot of times we're so burdened, a lot of times we're so worried, we have unforgiveness for 40
Mm-hmm.
years and we're not letting it go.
Oh yeah.
We're not letting it go. And it is said that the jar that carries the acid gets the most burn. We're not letting it go. We are worried about, yes, we have to make plans and stuff, but the worrying spirit, we have to and think about peace of mind. And I say, you see what the day when I realized and I thought about peace of mind, I can tell anybody that I don't have a stressful day anymore. I don't allow myself to be stressed. Any moment I sit down
Man,
and
you
I
have to
feel
be in
myself
control.
going away, I get my phone, I get the TV, and I get some music, and I say, this is the time to dance. Or I,
Yes.
I, I put on some clothes based on the weather, and I go outside and I walk around the block 2 times, and I inhale and I exhale. One of the things too I realize I don't like confrontation because I
Mm.
don't like the feeling that I get. This heavy feeling in my chest, and I just feel so uneasy. So I try my best to stay away from people who are confrontational and who like to allow you to feel worried and take back things that are upsetting and stuff. I stay away from it. So I try to tune out things because I know that is how I am. They say what hears no ear, heart no leap. So if you know say something I go bother you, stay away from it. And
That's
that is
right.
what I do. I
That's
know
right.
that it's going to bother me. I shared even on here, Terryann, that I was an overthinker.
Mm.
I mean, I tell you, say, I like when me sit down and me look, me say, a whole heap of unnecessary stress me cause myself, you know.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
A
You get
whole bunch of unnecessary stress
scary.
because myself, you know, because me take too long to get over stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
there letting it on my mind and bothering my head and stressing out my mind. So the moment I said to myself, okay, what can I do to stop this thing? And my peace of mind is of most importance. Me want to feel happy and merry all the while. So you
Oh
know
yeah.
what? When it come on my mind, me find something else. Do me go dance, me go walk, me do something man every day. Take some picture. Everybody who know me knows me like to take pictures. So I go and I take pictures and I marry up myself. So I always marry up myself.
Mm.
Anytime I feel like it's coming, and I take myself away from negative people, people who love to complain, people who every day them bawl over something, and me stay away from them. Stay away because I don't like the feeling that I get when I hear these things and it's working on my feelings and my emotion. So these are some of the things, practical stuff. I'm not making up no story. I'm telling you it real as day. These
Oh
are
yeah.
some of the things that I did to help me in the process of becoming a better version of myself.
Amen.
So I am sure that these things can help you too. I believe that if you correct your mindset, your life will fall in place. Of course, your perception is what shape your mindset. So anyhow you view life, anyhow you view life, that's your perception of it. That is how your mindset is gonna be. If you and I've said I look at it and I said there are persons who, for example, you were raised in an environment that is toxic and cantankerous and just quarrel and no love and whatever. That is how you may view the world, and that
Yeah.
is how you that is what you think is life. That is what you think is okay
Mm-hmm.
until you experience or you see life from a different perspective. That is how you're always gonna live life. And a lot of people, that is what is happening to them. This is what you grow and you socialize, and this is how your perspective and your perception was formed, and this is what you stay in. But it doesn't matter where you are grown, it doesn't matter where you are raised, you have to become conscious of it to say, hey, I want happiness.
Yeah.
I want peace. So whatever is going to rob you of happiness and peace, you let it go because you are the one who has the choice to choose how you experience your life.
That's
Not
right.
even God no force us.
Come on now. That's right.
He gives us the opportunity to choose what we want. So again, mindset is everything
Mm-hmm.
based on the angle in which you view life. Any how you view life, that's how it's gonna be. So if you love miserable life or you love toxic life, then you're gonna continue feeling like toxic is merry. But if you want to feel happy and light, you're going to run away. When you hear, I think it was TD Jakes who said that when he was growing up, he was poor. But he always said to himself, it doesn't fit me. So even when persons always say, we are poor or whatever, he said, no, poor doesn't fit me. I don't want to be poor. It doesn't look good on me. It doesn't feel good on me. And no. So that is it. Toxic and unhappy life, I don't want it. It doesn't fit me. It doesn't look good on me. I know I look better when I'm happy and merry. So I force myself. This is where you force yourself to be. You force yourself, you push yourself to be better. You force yourself into spaces and creating real happiness, authentic happiness. Yeah. All right. So, you see, make me all preach now. My God. In time, let me stop preach. So we're at the end, I guess. Everything, I guess everybody can say that yes, they got it all tonight. Double dose. Right? So thank you again, Terryann, for tuning in and for being here with us. I really, really appreciate you being here, and this connection can never be lost. So you know that. Yes, I'll buzz you every now and then, and while you're here, I have another assignment for you, but I'll buzz you. You can't get away. It's not many days we find people like these who you really connect with, and you share similar mindset and all that you want to see and empowering people. So yes, I believe in networking. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
So as we close out, we do our